I'm not exactly sure why I'm writing this. I don't think it'll do any good, as talking about it hasn't really seemed to done so in the past. Perhaps I just want to find someone new to listen. Everyone seems to have forgotten her. Perhaps I just want to speak about her with others listening so it feels more real. I'd like to tell you about Erica. I first met Erica in second grade. I had just moved to my mother's hometown after my parents separated. It wasn't a bad separation or anything like that, but Dad was from across the country and he elected to stay there, close to my grandparents. The remainder of my life, I had only seen him once or twice a year, so I was awkward, nervous, and out of place. All the kids in my new school grew up together and knew each other well already. They spoke a different dialect than I did, and every way a kid can be, I was an outsider. And to my surprise, another girl in my new class was wild. Vivid red curls, plopped herself down in the seat next to me and introduced herself as Erica. She informed me, rather than asking me if I wanted to, that we were going to be friends. She was like that, you see. She got an idea, decided she wanted something, and she just went for it. I was never like that. And even though I mostly agreed because, hey, what else am I going to do? She was alive in so many ways that I wasn't. She would be more alive than actually I ever would be. She loved so many things. The rain, the snow, music and art, and sneaking out to go swimming at night. She made everything bright and fun and turned a childhood that could have been quite dreary into something very fond. Erica was all of my firsts. The first time I smoked a cigarette, it was with her when we were 12 and she snuck one from her dad. The first time I watched a real horror film. The first time I tasted alcohol. The first time I got drunk. The first, and luckily last, time I got in trouble with the police when she convinced me I should try my hand at graffiti because she liked my art. All of them involved her. We were inseparable. Like sisters, people would say. And in many ways they were right. But we were more than that. And of all the firsts Erica was for me, my first kiss was the most memorable. I'm not sure why it happened really. The fact that we were both so inclined isn't out of the realm of possibilities, of course. But that we would both fall for each other as well is perhaps pushing it. But that chaste, uncertain kiss under the starlight outside my house after a concert when we were 16 would be the first of many. And to this day, she's the only person I've had any sort of intimate relationship with. I don't believe in destiny, or in the concept of high school sweethearts really. But for me, there's never been anyone else. We lived in a rural town, and this was the early 2000s. It was controversial, and I was scared. Erica didn't care though. She said nothing was more important than us, and she never tried or even wanted to hide it. And because she dared, I dared. She shouted down so many bullies while I cowered in corners, but she never went back on her decision. She fought the administration. She took me to prom. She kissed me in the crowd at graduation, indignant and offended, stared at me damned. And I loved her for it. I wanted to go to art school. My parents wanted me to do something real. But Erica squeezed my hand and told me to go for it. That was her tactic for everything. Just go for it, and everything will work out. And I believed her. We found a small dingy flat and she enrolled as a social work major. She wanted to help people. We slept in a mattress in an empty home for weeks, but it was ours. We didn't have a car, so when we found a used sofa for cheap, we had no choice but to carry it by hand across town. Erica stopped by a store to get beer, and we wound up sleeping off our buzz on a sidewalk before managing to get it home that night. She was like that, impulsive, and I ended up doing things I never thought I would do. But it was fun. She made everything fun. Hell, even carrying furniture across the town by hand. We both wanted to see the world, and we talked about it a lot. We made so many plans: Europe, Asia, trekking across North America by bus. We both wanted to see a penguin in real life. But we were both working on our masters, so we planned for the future, for later. We had our whole lives ahead of us. It was on our way to campus in our 4th year that Erica fainted for the first time. I won't bore you with medical details. I don't understand them myself, but cancer will suffice. Contrary to what most people believe, doctors don't really speak in terms of terminal, at least not willingly. They prefer to speak of things like survival rate after 5 years. But the message was clear enough. And for the first time since I met her, life wasn't bright. She was so brave though. Like she always was braver than I was. And I tried for her, I really did. But I'm afraid I made it worse. She dropped out of university, and since I wanted to be there, so did I. She did the best she could, and fought harder than anyone could be expected, and I loved her for it. Erica died on Tuesday in November. She was 23. I was 23 when everything ceased to matter. I walked home alone, and the rain was freezing. I was never warm again. It's been 11 years and I'm still just sitting here. There's been jobs over the years, menial. None of them lasted, and I would eventually become unable to get out of bed for a few weeks and I'd lose it. I'm 34 and I haven't lived for 11 years. I sometimes fancy that I can snap out of it. I should live. Erica would have wanted me to live. And I know that's true. She would have. And I've thought about it. Perhaps I could go on those trips we talked about. Bring it with me in spirit and all that. See the penguins and the jungles and the medieval castles. But I can't. Everything is empty without her. I couldn't imagine a life without her, and I still can't. I don't know who I am without her. They told me time would ease the ache, but it doesn't. I can still feel the cool tile of the hospital corridor against me. I still remember it as vividly as when I leaned against it in tears all those years ago. I never left that place. The place where we were together. I don't think I ever can. The part of me that was alive died with her on a cold, rainy night in November, long ago. Friends and family were patient at first, but as the years went on, one by one, they got tired of me, and they left. I don't blame them. I don't want anyone to misconstrue this as a suicide note. It's not. I could never betray her like that. I betray her already by my inability to move on, but I could never do that either. I just hope that somewhere, somehow, I'll be with her again one day. I miss you, Carrot, and I love you. Always.